Okay, we're going to start putting the finishing touches on the cabinet here for our Model 36. When I got this radio, these two panels were fairly dark and this was a little bit lighter. This edge and the top and the sides were dark like this. Now that I've stripped most of the finish off, the wood here is lighter, but I'm going to keep with the original theme just to make it, carry through with what it was, I think, originally. I'm going to probably, I've got some sanding to do. I had to do some gluing in here, some gluing, there was a couple other spots where the veneer had lifted. That's been repaired, but the glue has pushed up through the surface a little bit. So I got to sand all of this off, the top, the sides, get everything smooth. Now I'm going to do this with a maple, I think, and I'm going to do these with the dark walnut, all these other surfaces. And the knobs were dark walnut, so I'll do those again, dark walnut. I found what's been working for me lately is I found some good gloves at Home Depot that don't dissolve in lacquer thinner. And I can take this stuff outside, 4/0 steel wool and lacquer thinner, and break through the old finish. And it just takes a heartbeat or two to get through it. Wipe it down with some paper towels soaked in lacquer thinner, and if I see any dark spots left, go over them again with the 4/0 steel wool and get the old finish off. Doesn't take long. I think it took me 15 minutes to do this whole cabinet. But now we got to do some sanding. We'll smooth everything out. This is going to lighten up hopefully a little bit when I do the sanding. And then we'll put the stain on it. Like I say, there's the maple here and the dark walnut here. These were almost black. I'm considering just black lacquer on those. That's fairly common, but it was hard to tell whether they were just heavily stained or whether there was actually black lacquer on those. That's what it's going to be. I'll just mask this area off, do the maple, and then reverse the masking and do the dark walnut. And we'll see if we can make David Tipton proud. He does such great cabinet work. Anyway, I'm gonna jump on this. Okay, we've got the New England maple stain on the center section. Those three little vertical bars in the speaker grill area were a different type of wood. They were overlaid on top of that panel, and they still came out almost white. So I took some dark cherry and mixed it in with the maple and darkened them up a little bit. In fact, I might do the whole rest of the cabinet with the dark cherry just to have a good contrast between this lighter maple in the middle. But that's all sanded down along the bottom, all nice and smooth down there now. And we'll let this, we've stained it and wiped it off, and we'll let this dry for a while, and then we'll switch the masking over to the center area and we'll stain the outside of the cabinet. There, and we have the dark cherry on the sides and the maple here. The top was also done with the dark cherry, but it's a different wood, obviously. And it didn't take the stain as well. It came out more like the maple, but I don't mind the three different tones. It had a little bit lighter top when I got it, so I think from the factory it had a slightly lighter top. But the sides and these panels here and these panels here are the dark cherry, the lighter maple up the middle, and the top. We'll let that stain dry, set up for 2 or 3 days until it's good and firm, and we'll put some clear lacquer on there. I still think I'm going to do the feet black. After I get the clear on there and everything's dry, I'll mask it off again and paint the feet black, which was a common thing on these radios. They didn't take the dark cherry stain at all. It just wiped off and looked maple again. And originally when I got this set, they were very, very dark. So either they sprayed a tinted lacquer on there or painted them, I'm not sure. But we'll darken the feet up. We'll get the dial we made installed, the speaker grill cloth in there, and then we'll slip the radio into the chassis. But compared to what this looked like when I got it, it's starting to look pretty decent. Okay, we've got 3 coats of clear lacquer on this now, and soon we're going to give this a few days to harden up, and we'll give it a couple more coats and then rub it down. We've got the artwork completed for the dial to replace the dial that was in there. That was in pretty sad shape. That's what the original was. So we'll get that installed when the time comes. We have a new grill cloth, and after all the finish is put on, we've got a couple of details here that go on the cabinet. They'll have to be glued in here, but I'm going to wait until the final coats go on and then put a coat of clear lacquer over everything and give it a rub down. And the knobs are over here. They're all finished up. Those have got 3 coats on them. And we'll leave them on here for a few days. Leave them on there for a week at least. Let them harden up well. So we're making some progress on this guy. Alrighty, we've glued in the grill cloth and it's sat overnight. Put some weight on here to make sure it's glued in nice and flat. And peel my saran wrap off carefully here. We used a backer board with some plastic wrap so that it doesn't stick to the adhesive that's bound to leak through. And it did, but came out all right. Good. The girlfriend chose that. I brought home several swatches of grill cloth and she decided that was the one to put in it. I don't think it looks too bad. Let's see what we've got here. We've got our speaker screws. Yeah, that looks all right. These originally, I think, would have been gold color, so we gave them a little splash of gold colored paint. Oop, push too hard on it. Thread it through. Okay, those are in. Looking okay. Looking pretty dapper. And we'll put the backer cardboard in here, staple this in. Behind them. That'll hold these edges nice and flat. Okay, next thing for me to do is work on the dial face, and this guy will be done. Ready to rock and roll. Boy, that came out pretty good. Even if I do say so myself. Not bad, not bad at all. Decided to go with, I don't know if I mentioned it, decided to go with leaving these natural color. I think the contrast between the two looks good. What do you think? Let me know. Okay, we're getting close to wrapping up this Emerson, but I'm still working on the dial background here. Now this one, originally when I printed it on the water slide decal paper, when it was on the paper, it matched this thing perfectly. I mean, the color between the two was perfect. But when I slid it off onto a white plastic background like this one is, it was kind of washed out. The decal paper has kind of a yellowish eggshell tint to it. You know, the decal itself is clear. The backing paper has a kind of a tint. It might be due to the adhesive, I guess. Because this is regular printer paper, and I tried using, I tried changing the settings on the printer for photo paper and making it darker, but when I looked at it on regular paper, all the contrast was gone. And the lettering is just very muddy looking. I would have simply used this directly. Now, I bought a laminating machine, and that's what this is. This is photo paper that's been laminated. And it's a little orangey looking. I kept playing with printer settings, and I couldn't get the coloration right. That doesn't look bad. This is the decal reprinted using photo paper settings. This is the decal water slide material. And I think that's a pretty good match. It looks a little orangey there, but against the wood, I think that one's going to look alright. I would have used the photo paper directly. I would have simply cut this out and laminated it, except for one problem. You see what's on the back of it? It's got printing on the back of it, and there's no area on here where it doesn't have that printing. You've got no way of knowing that when you buy the photo paper, because it's in a package and you can't see the paper directly. Now, if somebody out there knows of a water slide decal paper that doesn't have any printing on the back, maybe that would be the way to go. However, will it have the same coloration? You know, the different brands, I'm sure, are slightly different. So I think it's going to be a bit of a compromise. I'm sitting here trying to determine, and I'll have to make it, by the time you see this, it'll be over and done with. So I'm trying to make a determination as to which one of these I want to go with. Not sure. You know, comparing it with the original, I'm thinking this one's closer in coloration. Probably the way to go with the plastic backing. I'll probably change this one out for this one. Now, the spottiness or the mottled appearance of the light in the background, there's not much you can do about it. There aren't, or there isn't any diffuser in there. And the original one, when it was installed, looked pretty much like that. It had that mottled appearance just with a bare lamp behind it. And I'm not going to be too concerned about that. I mean, that's the way it came. That's the way it was for 91 years. So I'm not too worried about that. But I think at this point I'm leaning towards the water slide decal printed with these what appeared to be too dark settings for photo paper, but when I put it on the photo paper, that's not a bad looking compromise. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this one out and I'm going to swap it for this guy and just leave this in a drawer. You know, I'll put that with my pile of also Rams and change it out for this one. I think that's going to look the closest when it's inside the cabinet. So that's what I'm going with. That's my decision, and I'm sticking to it. And the set's working pretty well at this point.
Center, I'm meteorologist Kevin Skarupa. Hey, New England, are you ready for the biggest shopping event of the year? It's tax-free weekend at Ashley, and Ashley will pay double your sales tax. Plus, get free delivery on all your beautiful new Ashley furniture. Ashley.
And right now, all that's using for an antenna is my VT or my VOM lead. That's the only antenna that's connected to it.
Investigative true crime podcast, Flashpoint. Listen as they explore.
Let's see what we get up the high end of the band with that. Not much. Let's swap that out for a real antenna. Let's see what we get at the high end of the band.
Through the final months of his presidency. Work a few more years and then retire.
Well,
and she said, "Why don't you try that?" She kind of pretty much me right, and it was amazing. It's been a miracle. Relief Factor
It's early
It's a daily supplement that
morning,
helps your
and
body
this
fight
time of
pain
day I'm not
naturally.
going to get much on the AM dial.
It uses a unique formula of natural ingredients.
But
to
I was
address
surprised
the
to find out
where the pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain; it helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. So if everyday pain is affecting,
And like a lot of these sets that use a pot in the antenna circuit for a volume control, if you have a real strong station like this, you can't turn it all the way down.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half.
But if you're on the other end of the band, when there's a very weak signal and no signal, not uncommon for these types of sets. If you've played with TRF sets. I played with this the other night in the evening, and it pulls in an amazing amount of stations. It's very sensitive. Right now, at this time of day, nothing down here works. But at nighttime, when the AM signals start to roll in, you can pull in a lot of stations. Up on the high end of the band, there's like 8 or 9 of them up here on the high end of the band that come in just fine. During the day, I don't get anything on AM on any of these sets.
Carrots Olympic.
But it doesn't sound too bad for what it is. Okay, I'm going to quit fooling around here. I'm going to get this dial swapped in and we'll take a look at
Radio,
it.
soundtrack, flashback.
So, what's a movie soundtrack without Smash Mouth?
I push the middle valve down, the music goes down around, below, 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 below. Listen to the jazz come out. Then I push the other valve down, the music goes down and around, and I oh, and it comes up
Okay, I guess we're going to wrap up this Emerson Model 36 here. I'd say it's well and truly done at this point. Only reason I purchased this radio is a while back I picked up a piece of test equipment from the same vintage, 1936. I think the other piece is 1934 or vice versa. This is 34, the test equipment is 36. I have an excellent memory, it's just real short. But the other piece of test equipment that's going to be out in a video following this looks like a tube tester. It looks for all the world like a tube tester, but it isn't. It's a radio analyzer. You pull the tube out, you plug this unit in and put the tube in this analyzer, and you can measure the voltages and plate current and so forth. I think I'll release the video on operating that first and then follow it up with the video fixing it, repairing it, because it's a long marathon session. But again, I only bought this radio because it had the right tubes, the right tube bases that fit that old 1934 analyzer. But I think it came out okay. I'm not exactly happy with the color of the dial. Again, this is like after 12 or 13 sheets of printer paper gone through, and I've been playing with settings trying to get it right. And it either comes out way too dark or just didn't look right. This was close enough. Certainly looks better than what was in there. What was in there had no numbers left on it except for the wavelengths and a little piece of the Emerson.
A tinkling piano in the next apartment.
There we go.
Those stumbling words that told you what my heart meant. A fairground's painted swing. These foolish things remind me of you. You came, you saw, you conquered me. When you did that to me, I somehow knew that it had to be the winds of March that make my heart a dancer.
Hope Buzz doesn't mind that I'm stealing his thunder here. He always has one of these plain old-timey music, and I just think it fits.
These foolish things remind me of you.
Okay, we're going to call that done. And going to get this up, and we'll follow it up with using the Supreme Analyzer. And then we'll follow that up with the repair of the Supreme Analyzer for those who have the patience to sit through it. Actually, on the repair video, I have an introduction section. I have the time stamped. Then there's the very long, arduous repair section. And then there's a final wrap-up and smoke test at the very end. So if you just watch the beginning and the end, you'll get an idea of what it's all about. You don't have to sit through the entire repair. It was... oh, I don't know how to describe what's the right word. The guy, somebody had been in there before me. It was a mess. But we got it straightened out, we got it working, and probably better than it left the factory at this point. It's probably more accurate now than it was then. Anyway, I'm the Radio Mechanic. Hope somebody found this series, mildly entertaining at least. Take care, stay well, we'll see you soon.